Hey guys, it's Amy at Zoe Beck, and I'm going to do my weekly read update for June 12th, 2022. So I did not film last week. I was unable to due to the fact I had no voice. I mean, my voice is still a little affected. I had really bad allergies, and I don't know, I don't get them as bad as I used to. Like when I was a kid, I was pretty much on Sudafed all spring and summer. But now those, I do not have access to that anymore. And I just didn't, my body didn't react very well so last weekend was pretty much a wash. I did not do much of anything. I was just miserable, mostly just a sore throat and being stuffed up. So it wasn't the dreaded disease or anything like that. It was really just, it was allergies, and I'm still coming back from that. My voice still kind of goes in and out. So if I have to get a drink, you'll just have to deal. So I have a lot of books here to talk about, but I'm going to try to not go on maybe as long as I normally do. I read a lot of books in the same series as a reread. And so that's a majority of it. And then I have a whole stack of books that I've started. And this is what happens when I don't feel well, is I start just starting books. And now I have all these books that I'm in the middle of and I don't know what to do about, because I'm like, I can only read so much. And I'm in the middle of a couple buddy reads and another one just about to start. And I'm just like, I got too many open books, and I hate when I do this because I know that some of these are just going to drop off and I'm going to put them in my on hold, cart, like put it on there and be like, I'll get back to it someday. And I hate when I do that, but it happens a couple times every year. It just happened this week, and it just happened that because I was sick, it just multiplied what I did. So, other than that, okay, so I did want to just make a little, so I'm going to talk about a lot of books that I reread. I have 7 that I finished in the 2-week period, that are rereads. And and again, I have a couple other ones that are kind of on the go. I looked back on my worksheet yesterday, and I have read or reread 40 books so far this year. And I've read just over 80 books. So almost half of my reading this year has been rereads. Now, I will be completely honest, I don't think I've done this much rereading in a really long time, but I used to do that all the time. I think being on BookTube makes you want to more read new stuff because you're just exposed to so much. I mean, I've bought so many books, I can't even wait till you see my book haul. Anyway, the point is that I want to read all the new things, but I also have been feeling just the nostalgia of going back to series that I really enjoy. And as I said, I just read so many rereads this year, and I will continue. I'm already trying to hold myself back from starting another series that I want to reread the whole series or catch up to where I was and then continue on or something. There's a couple like that. So we'll see. I mean, I'm still going to do rereads, don't get me wrong. I'm just trying to show you that this year has been odd for me, that almost 50% of my reading has been rereads, and I have quite a few still in play and ones I want to get to that I haven't yet. So it's just, and then again, I started all these other books as well. And it's just, I think my brain is just not settled and I don't know what to do. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, so now that I've gotten that all out of the way, let's talk about the books that I did finish in the last 2 weeks and what I'm in the middle of and what I think I'm going to read in the next week. So let's just start with the rereads. Here are the last of the Side Changing series that I hadn't reread yet. So now I reread all 20 books in the series by audio. These I did all from my library. And so I did them out of order because I had to wait for holds to come in, which is fine. These are the early books in the series. Up to the middle part, because I'd read from book 12 on earlier I started that in late April and then read those through most of May. And then, so then a couple of these were in May, and then the rest of them were the first week of June. So, I finished, the last one I finished I finished Wednesday. So I've been continuing on. So I just wanted to say this again. This is one of my favorite paranormal romance urban fantasy series. which follows shifters, people with psychic abilities, and humans vying for power in a future, like a little bit futuristic world from ours, which so there's differences, but there's a lot of stuff that's same. And we're following packs, and we're following people with psychic abilities, and they're all you just grows and grows the cast of characters. And some people don't like big cast of characters. I love these kind of series where you build and you get to know the whole group, and it's fantastic to go back and reread these when I know some of them get books later in the series, so it's kind of good to see how things started and how we met them, and then know, oh, we're gonna get their book later, because I already know because I've read them. Anyway, so book 21 is coming out in July, so I'll be getting that on ebook when it drops, but I'm prepared now, so I will read on. So the ones that I finished in these 2-week period, I finished number 3, Caressed by Ice, number 6, Branded by Fire, I think this is 8, Bonds of Justice. I think that's 7 or 8. I can't remember. 9, Play of Passion. I had gotten partway through this a couple weeks ago, and then I just waited to get a little farther into the series again to do this. This is 4 novellas, Wild Embrace. The later novellas, I've read the earlier one already. Kiss of Snow and Tangle of Need. So as I said, I've read all these multiple times. This was definitely a reread. I hadn't done a full reread of the whole series like that. I know I did it all out of order, but I hadn't done that in so long, and it was so satisfying to dive into the series and do that. So it was different this time because I did it all on audio. I've done a few books. I own a few books on audio, the later ones, but the older ones I only have physical copies. So it was kind of cool to go through my library and get the audios for those. They're all done by Angela Daw. She does a really, really good job, I think, overall, the whole series. I think she's done fantastic. So I do recommend this series if you want just fun. I know the first couple books are a little rough when she's starting out. It's her first couple books, but when you get deeper into the series, even just a couple, number 3, Caressed by Ice is one of fans' favorites. Everybody loves that book. Branded by Fire is one of my favorite, is like almost my favorite book in the series. It's like number 2. So, I mean, the earlier ones are good ones. And I love that things that happen in the first part, kind of, you get more and more into the later part. Anyway, it's a great series. I can't stop talking about it clearly, but I've done my reread now. So yes, I reread 22 books this year in the last month and a half of Nalini Singh. So, I don't regret it. It was really fun. Let's see if I can pull up. So I did read a library book that I had to return, so I don't have anymore. I read The Murder of Mr Wickham by Claudia Gray. I think I finished this at the end of May because I had to turn it back into the library last week. So I think I finished it just before the end of the month. So maybe over the holiday weekend. So this is a book I was highly anticipating because it is a Pride and Prejudice retelling, but not Pride and Prejudice. It's a Jane Austen, all her character, like a lot of different characters from her, all her different books are in this. There's, there is Darcy and Elizabeth, but there's also Henry Tilling and Catherine's daughter is there, like at Emma's, and his name went right out of my head. God, the one she's with. I don't remember. Anyway, so it's like a couple, it's like 20 years after, not quite 20 years after like a couple of the books. And then she gives a little synopsis of when she set each of the books. So the author, Claudia Gray, said, hey, this is actually when this happened, and then, so like Sense and Sensibility, even though it is technically the first one published by Jane Austen, she said it in the later, I think they did this to like 1820. So it was the one that had just taken place the year before or something, before this takes place. So all these people come to this house party at Emma's, and And again, a lot of them have kids, and some of them are just newly together or don't have kids, and they're all here, and then Mr. Wickham shows up and causes havoc right away, and it's clear what happens to him, which was the fun part. Anyway, so this was a really different retelling. Again, I have read Death at Pemberley by P.D. James, and I did buy another book that was kind of a mystery that has to do with death of somebody, which I'm going to hopefully read for Jane Austen in July. But so this one, I was curious to see how it was going to go. So they're all suspects in the murder because it's this house party and they're all trapped there. And we see certain things. So my biggest critique of this, I enjoyed this. It was just it was light, fluffy, kind of to me. The thing I found the hardest for me to deal with this, I think she did the characters interestingly, as in she picked all the things that I don't like about most of the Jane Austen characters that she picked. That's what she focused on. And that was, and kind of highlighted the things I didn't like, which I think makes sense in a murder mystery, but it didn't make me as happy as some retellings of the Jane Austen novels. There was just certain things that I don't want to give anything away at all. So, because it's a murder mystery. So I think it was done really well. I did guess kind of what happened, but she threw a good twist that I almost had it, but not quite. I did that thing where I thought, oh, it could be that person. And then I go, no, that's just, so I thought of it, but that doesn't count. I didn't get it. So I thought I liked the way it does route. I do like the way that it all comes together. I do like certain characters in here. There are two that are made up that are kids of some of the characters who are there, and they're young men and women who are trying to figure out the crime. And I think it was really, that part was well done. I just think my problem was that it was all their bad qualities that she focused on each of the characters. That one thing that really drove me crazy in the novels, that was what she focused or, pulled out the worst part of them, and so they weren't exactly like Jane Austen characters, but I see what she did, and I think it was pretty smart. But again, it was not going to be a favorite or anything, but I did enjoy it, and I'm glad I got it from the library. And so that's that. And then the last one I finished on Friday was For the Wolf by Hannah Winton. This is a reread for me because the next book had dropped this week. I meant to finish this by last weekend, but because I was sick, I put this book down because I couldn't read anything for a couple days. So, but I picked it up this week and I finished it, and I love it. I still love it. Maybe not as much as the first reading. I think there's still a couple things that were kind of more glaring to me on some of the things that happened, but the main story is still my favorite. It's the little interludes that I'm still don't like as well, even though I know there's a reason for those, and it makes sense because going into the second of the duology, this is the Wilderwood duology. It makes sense why we saw those, but it threw me out of the action so often. I get why we had it, but it was hard. Anyway, but overall, it was a great reread. I'm glad I reread this, so I can read For the Throne here fairly soon, because I did get that. Okay, so here we're gonna go. Already talking so much. I'm so sorry, guys. So let's talk about the two books that I DNF'd. So again, as I said, I'm starting a lot of books, and some things are just not grabbing me. Could be just very much my mood, and it just didn't do it for me. But I had Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher from the library. I have to return this today, so it's going back. So I'm not gonna, I didn't get to read it because I tried it and I didn't like it. I only got 20 pages in, but I didn't like the way, this book is really short. And the first 20 pages, half of it is in the past. And what I really wanted is to get into the story, the story, and I didn't like how the characters were already reacting to each other, the ones in the past, and I guess it just didn't click with me, and I didn't like it. I didn't like how the main character, it's not her, it's how her sister treated her, and I guess then I'm confused how the story is going to go. So I don't know a lot about this other than I know that it's supposed to be her trying to save one of her sisters from a bad marriage. but in like a fantasy setting. And I hear it's really good. Just, I could not get into it. T. Kingfisher and I are like half and half. Half the books I pick up I enjoy. Other half I don't like at all. So I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. So this didn't work for me. I don't know if I'll try it again some later at a later date if I ever find a used copy. But I couldn't get into it. So I'm going to give that back to the library. And then sadly, I picked up Hall of Smoke by H.M. Long, and I did not like this. I've read 70 pages, and I don't like this. So we're following Hessa, which again, I think my first problem is that this is in first person. Cat, get away. Anyway, is in first person, and fantasy and I, and like epic fantasy and I in first person don't get along that well. I don't like that perspective in that. I think it's mostly because to me that is very much an urban fantasy, more modern take with perspective. I don't know. There's just something about that. It just doesn't work for me very well. Let's be honest. I don't, but so that's not like against the book. It's just my personal. But the problem with this is I don't like the main character. I don't right away. I mean, I knew the premise going in, so it's not that's not the problem. So Hessa was ordered to kill a certain person at a certain as soon as she saw him, and she didn't really know that that's who it was, but she let him go, and then so then she's punished for not doing what her god had told her to do, and she's trying to redeem herself when her village is her town is attacked by raiders, and she blames it on the guy that she was supposed to kill but didn't kill at the time. And it's her quest for figuring out what to do with that. The problem is I don't like the way this is going. And I still think a lot of people are going to like this. I think it's just me, and maybe I'm being too, yes, Cooper. Anyway, I'm having trouble with her as a character. Hessa just doesn't, she's not pulling me in. Like whatever, I don't know. And I think it has to do with her religion, the religion aspect to this. So this is like a world where the gods are really close. They're not like gods, but they're definitely powerful entities of some sort. And there are new and older ones. There's more powerful ones. There's ones that come and go. And her particular god has been directing things in her life forever, and then again she got punished for not killing this one guy, and then we get to see her interaction with that god, and I did not enjoy that. Like, there was something about it, it was all very, and again I think it's just me, but it was very petty, the way the characters were, all of them, like they're all thinking of their own, and I don't know how to explain this. I just wasn't enjoying it, and when I set this down, yesterday, I was like, I don't want to read this, and I was so disappointed because I love this cover. It's one of my favorite covers, and I really wanted to get into it because it sounded really interesting, and I know there's like companion novels, but I can't read this. I cannot make myself do this. So I am DNFing. Unfortunately, I'm probably getting rid of this. I still think other people will enjoy this. I think it really is. You have to read it for yourself and decide if that character does anything for you. She doesn't do anything for me. And I was really kind of upset about it because I wanted to love that book and have a new series. So that book's going away. So I have two books here that are kind of on hold. One of them is a reread, so it's not a big deal. I had the audiobook for The Witch's Heart by Guinevere Gornichek, and I just let it go because so many people were waiting for it and I wasn't into it right then. I don't know if I want to listen to the audiobook from the library anymore. The narrator was fine. I don't remember now who it was, sorry, because I gave back the library book, or the audio. I think I'll just reread it physically, but just not right now. So this is just going to go on my potentials to reread. It's definitely one I've started, but I will come back to this. I love this book. This is following Angerboda, and she is a witch who doesn't really remember a lot of her past because she was severely injured by the gods of Asgard, and she is living in the woods, and Loki brings back her heart that had been ripped out of her. So she she and Loki have you know, a friendship, and then she also has another character, another person who comes and trades with her for, she makes potions and stuff, and she gets stuff, and it's like, it's a really small, low key, like low key. That's not what I meant. Low key, as in it's very quiet and not very much. It doesn't feel like a whole lot's happening, except that Loki keeps going and doing the things he does in the myths, and you hear about that and how she reacts to him and how things happen. And I mean, that part was funny. I really enjoyed those things. I might have stopped this because I know what's coming, and because I love this book, and there is a certain part in the middle of the book that just rips my heart out, and I'm afraid to reread it. So I don't know. I think I need to be in the right mood to reread this. I love this book. I think it's really well done, of a Norse mythology kind of thing from a different character that's not one of the gods, but it's connected. And I did like the way that this all went. I love this book. I really do want to reread it, but I'm not sure I'm ready for the heartbreak that's coming. It's still a good time. There's a good chunk before I get to that, but I I had to put it down, and I returned the library book because I just didn't, I had too many library books out because of library audios, because I had all the Nillingy Sing coming through. And then another book that I am reading, I just put it down for right now because I have too many buddy reads going on, which I'll explain in a second, is Challenge by Vita Sackville-West. So I did start this. I was reading it a chapter a day, and then I had another buddy read start up, and now I can't, I can't do this as well. So we're following some people who are in kind of like a Greek Isle, and, you know, it's talking about the political things going on there, of people who are not from, like, I think they're English, kind of rule over this Greek Isle, and how that the populace doesn't want that. And then the people who are kind of in charge, who are fighting that. And even those who are born there, but are identified as like English or something. So there's like, I don't know. It's different. It wasn't really what I expected, but we're going to be following this young man and woman who are cousins of some sort. But this is kind of a reimagining of Vita Sackville-West's life with her lover at a time. And I've been wanting to read this book because it was a book that she actually pulled from production so that it was not published in England, at least not during her lifetime. I think it was published in the US instead. But I'm not sure how this is going to go, because again, I only read 3 chapters. So I only got like 50 pages in. But I will come back to this. So this is it's just on hold until I get through some buddy reads. So I will probably go back and read that later. So okay, so let's talk about the buddy reads. Let's talk about Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. So I'm in the middle. I've actually read a little bit past this. I'm probably about 400 pages in right now. So we are closing in on the end. Not this week, but next week, I believe. I think that's right. Yeah. So I think middle of next week we'll be done. So this next week I will read the next couple sections, and then the week after we'll finish up middle of that week. So Warbreaker is one of Brandon Sanderson's earlier books. I think it's his second book. This is a book that I have I did not know anything about when we started the buddy read. Again, I'm doing the buddy read, sorry, with Burnish Bookish Adventures. She's doing big books that she does as buddy reads throughout the year, and Warbreaker was one for May and June. So I said that this is the book I wanted to join in on, because it's a book that's been on my shelf for years, and it hasn't been on my shelf, it's been on my radar for years, and I always thought it was a sci-fi. I mean, this to me looks like sci-fi. I know there's a sword, and I guess I didn't really see that. I just kept seeing this kind of halo-y thing with color, and I just assumed it was a sci-fi. So as I said, I've said that a couple of weeks. Anyway, so this is actually following 2 sisters. They are from a country that is kind of occupied by another one, but they for a treaty, one of the daughters is supposed to go and marry the God King, who is in charge, supposedly. Anyway, and the daughter, who is known her whole life, she's supposed to go at the last minute, the father changes his mind and sends the younger daughter, who doesn't know anything. And so the younger daughter is navigating this new political scene in the capital, and she doesn't know anything. And she's trying to find allies for herself. Her sister comes to rescue her, but she gets kind of mired down in a lot of other things going on in political stuff on the outside. So it's kind of like you're getting, and there's a lot of POVs, a lot of different characters. Something just happened. I was listening to the section, or just listening. Yeah, I was just reading part of the section earlier last night to start the next section, and something happened and I'm like, and it stopped. So I need to get back. I think yeah. Anyway, so I am enjoying this. It's not, it was never what I thought it was. So it keeps surprised me on the direction it's going. So we will see. As I said, it's a book that is a standalone for now. He says he'd like to read, Brandon Sanderson says he'd like to write another book in this world, but it might not be for quite a long time because he has so much stuff on it, so many other series. But I am enjoying this, so I'm doing that as a buddy read with Berna and a couple other people on Instagram. And then Berna and I are also reading Vallette by Charlotte Bronte. So we are, well, let's see here. So we're doing 2 chapters a day. So yesterday we finished up to chapter 10. So we started this on Monday. Kitty, Cooper. Anyway, so far, how do I, this has not gone the way how do I explain this? Okay, so this is, it's a classic. So it's one of the last Bronte novels I need to read. I need to read Vallette and The Professor. The Professor I'll read for Victober probably if I don't read it before that. But I had just these 2 books and then I'm done. I've read all the novels of the Brontes and I'll feel pretty accomplished. So Vallette is following Lucy Snow, and we first get some scenes from her younger life and then what happens when she gets a little bit older, and some people she worked for, and then how she is now somehow in the town of Vallette and how she becomes a teacher and the journey that she goes on from there. I don't know what happens after that. That's as far as I got. Anyway, so as I said, we're at 100. No, we're not 100. Oh yeah, I'm just about to cross 100 pages. So not too bad. Again, we're going to finish up by the end of the month, hopefully. I don't know if we had to postpone because Berna got busy, but I got sick, so I wouldn't have been able to start anyway, so it didn't matter. So we started like a week later than we planned. So I still think we're going to hit the end of the month. If not, it's going to be really close. Anyway, so we'll see how this goes. I'm not loving it yet. I just don't know where it's going with the characters we're meeting or what the main plot of this is. And I'm trying not to spoil myself. That's not, I don't want to know where it's going. I'm just not sure that I like where it's going. I don't know yet. It's still early. We'll see. Because as I said, it's like 470 pages and I'm about 100 pages in. So, I'm working on it. Anyway. So those are my buddy reads that I'm currently doing. I did at work start one day. I was in a really weird, I didn't pick up For the Wolf for some reason, but I picked up A Natural History of Dragons, a memoir by Lady Trent. I got this book from Tia and all the books. She gifted this to me for my birthday, so I've been wanting to reread this. I read this when it came out in 2013. I went back and checked my Goodreads. I actually read it probably about 6 months after it came out. So I was on top of this series, and then I never continued on because I had to wait for the next book. So I've always wanted to return to it. I do remember really enjoying it, and I have enjoyed the first 124 pages. So, I mean, again, I'm about a quarter of the way through, maybe a little bit over that. Maybe it's about a third. I guess it's like a third. Anyway, so I'm looking forward to coming back to this. But the problem is, I've started too many books, and I just picked this up one day and read that, and then I put it down again to finish my rereading of For the Wolf. So my brain is all over the place. This one is a fantasy, kind of historical fantasy that's kind of like Victorian times, but this is another world where dragons exist and other kind of creatures. And so we're following Isabella. from childhood on, just a little bit of her childhood and things that she did and what she was like. And then her going into the marriage mart and, you know, getting a husband and things that happened with that. And then her first adventure away from home to go study dragons. And it's such an interesting way to write the book, is again, it's her older self looking back at her younger self. And so we don't know how, you know, things are going to go. And I mean, again, I remember how the end goes. This is one of those books where I remember the end, good or bad. I remember the end. So I don't remember how we got there. So we'll have to see how that goes. As I said, on the reread. But then I want to continue this series. So I just only own this book that Tia gifted me. So I'm getting to that pretty quickly. So that's pretty good. Although I can't read it right now. So I put it back down. So again, it's on my open books. I have too many books. And then the last one that I'm currently reading is Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert. This just came out this week. It was released on Tuesday. So this is book 3 in the Dark Olympus series. So I've been wanting to, again, this is just a fun, erotic romance, but with a lot of political, but gangster more like aspects. I guess, I don't know if that's exactly right, but you know, like it's a world where Olympus, everybody's fighting for position, with the core people who are in charge, the 13. And in this book, one of the people has died. So there's a tournament to determine who will be the new Ares. And the characters that we're following in this one are Helen and Achilles and Patroclus. And so far I'm really enjoying this. There are certain things I don't like Achilles is an ass, but just kidding. Oh my God, Cooper. Anyway, and I don't like a scene that just happened, which is why last night I stopped reading at like 7:30 because I was so mad. But it wasn't like mad as in I didn't know that was coming. So it's not like I wasn't warned, because I did see she put up the tags of what happens and trigger warnings and stuff like that on her website. And I knew that was coming. I was just hopeful it wouldn't happen yet, the scene that happened. I was hoping something else would happen first, and it didn't. And I'm just sad because I wanted it to go another way. So this is my fault, not the book. I'm still enjoying it. I'm going to continue reading today, hopefully. I don't know if I'll finish today because I still have 300, just under 300 pages. So, or just about 300 pages. Yeah. So we'll see. So anyway, as I said, it's not for everybody, but I really enjoy these books and I love her writing. It is one of the only, she does, first person multi-perspective, the best that I've ever seen. I've never liked books that had that, as well as hers have done, where it's, all first person, but each chapter is a different character. So you get what they're thinking. And, in romances, it's always good to have all the main characters have their POVs. So I really like that. It's very rare that I like it all first person, but she does it really well. And I've liked all her books that do that. So anyway, so I'm hoping to finish that. And then the last thing is the book that I have to start tomorrow for another buddy read is Wildfire, the third book in the Hidden Legacy series by Alona Andrews. I'm, of course, reading the Hidden Legacy series with Tia and all the books. We read all the Kate Daniels last year, so we're trying to get through the Hidden Legacies this year. So this is book 3. I'm really excited for the climax to the first trilogy because it's the first trilogy, and then there's a novella, and then a second trilogy that follows a different sister. So this one follows Nevada, who is a private investigator and pretty much the breadwinner of her family. And she gets caught up in magic users who are in this world. Magic became prevalent in the 1800s. And so there are families of magic users. And she works for one of the big families. And she is kind of like a sacrificial lamb to go and try to get one that is causing havoc. And it's her meeting people of power and her trying to just survive, her and her family. This is one of those great stories that has a lot of good side characters. All her family are awesome. I love reading about them. And it does have her and a romantic lead, which at the beginning you're not so sure about, but through the second book, I really, really love him. So I'm curious to see how the third book goes. And then, I mean, we'll see what happens. So anyway, we're starting this tomorrow. So I'm really excited for that, even though I have so many books on the go. So, okay. So that's everything right now that I've read. I'm in the middle of stuff on hold, stuff that I'm definitely still have sitting beside me hoping to read. I don't know what I'm going to pick up. I mean, I'm for sure going to do my buddy reads. I still have to read Warbreaker, which I'm keeping on track with. I have to continue reading Vallette every day for 2 chapters, which I'm keeping up with, hopefully. And then add Wildfire this week for, Monday through Friday. So we'll get that done. But everything else, I have all these other books I want to read too. And I keep looking at my bookshelves and all the books that I bought last month that I'm just like, I want to read everything. And clearly I keep starting books, and I'm doing that thing where I start them and I'm not finishing them. And I hate when I do this, because I'm definitely, and I think it has to do with all the buddy reads. I didn't plan this very well to have so many in all at the same time. But we'll see. After I get through this week, it should calm down, because next week, one of them will drop off. Or this week we'll drop one off. Next week we'll drop one off. And then again, the end of the month, we'll drop off the last one. So maybe I'll be okay. We will see. Have you guys read any of these books? Have you guys done that where you reread quite like a huge series, all like that? Anything. Tell me anything. Anyway, and what do you do when you keep starting books? And have you recently had a book that you were so excited to read for the last year and a half, and then finally read it and don't like it? Such a sad thing. Anyway, I think that's it. Sorry it's so long, but I had to cover 2 weeks worth of stuff, and I think that's it. So I will talk to you guys later. Oh, later this week will be my May book haul part 2. I've already filmed that, so that'll go up later this week. So I will see you guys later. Bye.